He went bad again.
Bastard.
Unclear. Hello and welcome. It is Sunday. It is afternoon, and my lighting has no clue what it's doing. I'm your host, Morgan Hazelwood, and I might even do some writing today. Crazy thought, could happen. Who knows? No clue. With me today, I have Doc Coleman, and we might get a Sako in a little bit. So say hi to the nice people, Doc.
Hello, nice people.
So I will be writing on a writing challenge, probably. And Doc, what are you up to?
I am still editing.
I mean, are you up to chapter 5? Where are you?
That's a good question. Let me bring. That was different. Tried to bring Scrivener forward, and instead the web page stayed there. Okay. I'm in chapter 9 at least.
Mm-hmm.
But 9 out of 23. So I'm making progress, but I'm only about a third of the way in, or 23. Yeah, that's
sure.
The math is wrong there. I'm not halfway.
Is wrong.
Yes,
I hear you. So Catticus has claimed one of my hands. He claims hands. What? Did you find another hair tie? Oh, no, that's a potato chip. That's okay. He loves the really small, thin, rubbery hair ties, and then he coughs them up.
Because they're a great chew toy.
Which has happened 4 times ever, but is not really what I'm into. Having my cat hack up hairballs with hair ties that he shouldn't have gotten into in the first place.
Yeah, it's definitely not what we call fun, having elastic items in your cat's throat. No.
Pretty much. Yeah, it's kind of contraindicated. So how's your week been? What have you been up to?
How has my week been? So this past week was spring break for a lot of people, so most of the office was out.
Sure.
But we've had 2 new managers start this week. One was my boss, my new supervisor, and
had you worked with them before, or are they totally new to you?
I worked adjacent to them on a project over 10 years ago.
So it's been a hot minute.
I don't know if they remember me at all, but it was the kind of thing where my group didn't have any developers, but we had requirements, and her group had developers and requirements. So we got stuck onto their workload. And what usually happened was we would go to a release meeting, our stuff, I'd pare down our ask as small as it could be, and we'd get it just above the cut line. And then immediately after we finalized the release, she'd have another program manager meeting, and she'd move all my stuff below the cut line. So I never got anything done.
That's a really frustrating experience.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you had to deal with that.
This is going to be interesting to see how she treats me while I'm a member of her team instead of looked at as an outsider on a drawing from her team. But
sure,
she was in all week, and I didn't see her at all.
Do you know if for those who don't know, Doc is in Maryland, and I was curious if any of the bridge outage may have affected.
Oh no, I mean I'm nowhere near Baltimore, and
sure, okay,
and my traffic patterns are all on the opposite side of DC. But,
sure. Okay.
We all got to hear all of the news and the rampant speculation by people with wishful thinking of bad things happening, coming up with grand new conspiracy theories. But that was about it.
Everybody's favorite. Who doesn't like a new conspiracy theory? So, popping into the comments, Sarah is here. Hello. And CJ's hanging out with Sarah, which is always a good thing. At least I think it's
Hi.
a good thing. So, hi CJ. I hope y'all are having fun and hanging out. And I think I know what I might be doing on our first sprint.
Ooh.
Did I mention that Catticus is holding my paw?
You did.
Did I mention that someone might need a nail trim? Little pinpricky there.
That might be a worthwhile thing. Meanwhile,
Also,
I've got my own feline here staring at me saying, "You need to move back so I can climb on your chest."
I mean, obviously. So.
No.
Mhm.
And
So.
there's a Stephanie.
Yay! Hey, Stephanie. Good to have you. We're about to do a productivity sprint, I think. Maybe, potentially. It could happen.
Hopefully. If the cats will allow.
Right?
What if you got fluff in your mouth?
Well, Catticus wandered off, so maybe instead of giving him a nail trim, I'll just... what's the other thing I do? Oh, right. It's Sunday. Give him gushy food.
Oh.
So, hey, RC. Good to have you. Rocking out as always. Oh no, it's a yawn.
You had a nap. You're not allowed to yawn.
Because I'm totally awake now.
Exactly.
I kind of felt like Doc last night. I woke up to take Advil for my knee.
Oh.
It was not my favorite experience.
I was going to say, if you felt like Doc last night, then you were looking at the clock, realizing it was 4 a.m, and you really needed to go to sleep.
Oh no, 4 a.m. is when I woke up and could not find the Advil and had to wake housemates to be like, where's the Advil? There's apparently only one Advil in the house. How is that even a thing? I don't even know. But yeah, I don't know what I did to my knee. I think I was at a friend's birthday party and I stood. I'm good at walking, but I'm not good at standing. I'm good at sitting, but I'm not good at standing still.
Yeah.
It's a skill I'm not so good at.
Yes, standing is definitely contraindicated when you've got a bad knee. So, of course, you go and you try to be social when you've got a bad knee, and all of your friends want to stand around in one place and talk.
Yeah. I've always been pretty good at being like, hey, if you're going to talk, I'm going to sit on the floor. So, anyway.
Then your knees can't be that bad if you could actually get down on the floor and get back up.
It was pretty screamy. It's not too thrilled with me today, so I'm not really sure what's up with that, but I'm not a huge fan. So, true facts about the knee. I used to be an adventurer until I took a stand to the knee. I don't even know how this goes.
You used to be an adventurer until you took an arrow to the knee.
Yeah, except all I did was stand.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you made it on time. Yeah, we're here every Sunday, pretty much every Sunday.
Yep.
So it's very exciting.
We're not necessarily on time, but we're usually here sometimes.
Sure. So I don't think my dad's here. He reached out to me yesterday and it's like, hey, give me a call. And I was like, okay. And I gave him a call and he asked me about my burnout. Where my dad likes to give me his updates, but maybe not so much talk about things that, like, I stopped giving him emails about updates because then he would not acknowledge them and just assume he already knew them and not respond to them. It's a thing. It's a thing. Yeah. Anyway, my dad was reaching out to see that I was okay and offered to read one of my stories. And I'm like, oh, let me send you my story. What I did not realize is he was offering to beta read it. And he told me I had white room syndrome. And
you had what?
There's a thing called white room syndrome, which I've totally called him out on before.
Where the scenery fades out and your characters are just talking in a featureless space.
Exactly. But on page 23, I'm just like, I know I described the scenery. I know I described the bar. I know I described like, so I'm thinking there's one particular room he was curious about what looked like, that he was disappointed, because a lot of times people will say you have like this problem with your writing when really they noticed it when it was missing, which might have been on a particular page. And he called me out as saying someone was a lonely blonde, as like maybe sexist, and I was just like, what, this is what the character is thinking? It's not the most offensive like anti-feminist statement. They were blonde and they looked lonely. Like,
yeah,
the person is not getting picked up at a bar, let me tell you.
I was going to say, blonde people tend to stay blonde.
And if I remember correctly, it's blonde without an E on the end, and they totally flirt with them. So like,
yep.
For those who are a little fuzzier on their grammar, usually with blonde and brunette, if you add the E at the end, it's feminine. So we stole it from the French because that's how we do.
Yeah. Because it was perfectly good words lying around, and,
right. Perfectly good letters.
Yeah, right.
So, I may have introduced a few friends to the dark romance anthem.
Mm-hmm.
Did I subject y'all to it yet? Probably not. Here, I'm just going to link drop. It's a song called Morally Gray. Because dark romance, right? So, anyway, this week I've mostly been reading. Who have I been reading? I think, Kelly Fox. So she does a lot of very triggery issues, but I think is handled in a realistic and heart-rending way. So if that's your jam and you like gay romances, check her out. But like, trigger warning, like, whoa.
Not actual woe, but like woe.
Yes. I would say the trigger warning's more for the emotional space and like where the people are, and not necessarily the intimate encounters.
So this is the characters are going through trauma
and recovering and healing and moving forward. Okay. So, we've got a gym for like retired veterans, and a lot of them are amputees, and like she deals with issues of the different stances for military people who went in during or before Don't Ask, Don't Tell versus those who were post era and their perspective. And there's a lot of trigger warnings and things like that, but she's pretty upfront with what each story is. But I would definitely read them in order if they're your jam, because I started with a wrong series and it gave away like this background mystery in two of them.
Oops. Yeah.
That like was not relevant to the plot, but like would have added a little more tension had I known. So had I not already known.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
yeah.
Link drop that. Hey, we got a Raven. Awesome. Hello. What has everybody else been reading? Have people been reading? I mean, I'm at like 125 books for the year because I'm in a toxic binge reading spiral, but
Yeah, sadly, I have not been doing enough reading. I have kind of crawling into video games to deal with some of life's stresses.
Ooh, what are you playing right now?
I've been playing a lot of No Man's Sky.
Okay. I hear that's very popular.
It's a big space exploration survival game with a building component to it. And so far this year they've released 2 expansion packs. Sure. And it's not even April yet. So there's been a lot of excitement over the new features in the expansion packs, but
nice.
Yeah. It's a big game with a big universe to explore, so it's like
sure.
you can run into other people, but it would like take you billions of years to actually play out everything.
Gotcha.
Um,
Oh no, I just realized something tragic and horrible.
oh no.
So, you know how I watered my old laptop and it died and is not really recoverable?
Yeah.
I lost my collection of memes.
You didn't back up your meme collection?
I backed up my pictures, but I don't think I backed up my meme collection. I don't know.
This is why I tend to do full drive backups.
It was making me do it folder by folder. I'm just glad I have my pictures and stuff backed up.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. No, I totally get that. The backup companies just want you to back up just the important files, but it's like, yeah, all your important files aren't all in the same place.
yeah, no.
And some of them don't help you if you don't have the applications that go with it. So I always end up doing a full disk backup anyway.
Sure, that makes sense. Popping into comments, Stephanie and their husband have been listening to the Murderbot Diaries. I should get back to those. It's been a while.
I've heard those are really good, but I have not.
I've read the first 1, 2, unclear, but I haven't gotten to the rest of them. So,
although I did accidentally binge the entire season of the 3 Body Problem yesterday.
That came up last night because I had a conversation with Scooter, and it usually comes up at some point.
Because Scooter's always talking about the 3 Body Problem.
When we're talking books and stuff, it comes up. It comes up in conversation. So, Raven says, I haven't really been reading. I keep checking out books and having to return them unread. Yep. Also drowning stars in video games. Raven's current poison is Baldur's Gate 3. And maybe struggle bussy today. Got off at 16 hours of work. Oh my gosh. That's... I hope that's not standard, because that's not
a
healthy.
Double shift. That's horrible.
Yeah.
And I can say that having worked one of those before.
Yeah. I don't do well after like 10 hours. I've done a 12-hour day, but like more than that is really, really rough.
So we will definitely understand if you decide to just go crash.
Yeah. So, and Stephanie says on the Murderbot Diaries, they're in the second one. So awesome. Why is it so dim in here? It's like a light went out or something, but all the lights are on. I don't know what's going on in my room. So, okay. Raven says it was not standard. He was working overtime, and he goes in tonight for midnight to 8 a.m. Okay. So,
oof.
That's a rough schedule. So, what do y'all say about a sprint?
Sprint would probably be good.
Okay. Let's go ahead and get started. Oh, wait, wrong one. There we go. Okay, in 3, 2, 1, boom. Chakalaka.
Hi.
Should we pause and do your cotton drum?
Oh, sure.
Okay, we're gonna pause.
I've got a cat. We're gonna abort the sprint. Abort.
No. We're not waiting. Bring it, Raven. We're here for you, especially since you might fall asleep if we do a full sprint.
Yep. Especially since I've got a cat about to crawl on me anyway, so I won't be able to write. Stretching.
Oh, okay. I would like to reiterate, this is my I Love Nashville shirt with a book with a heart that is not a butt. Okay, carry on.
Those are pages.
It always looks like a butt, but it's always a heart. And I went to a writer hangout with a middle grade writers group I'm part of. And so it makes me happy to wear it, even if everybody thinks I'm wearing a butt.
Too much Roman history. Anyway, Raven, you were telling us about your conundrum.
He says this is going to be long for typing. Are either of us familiar with the Chronicles of Thomas the Covenant, the Unbeliever? I am familiar with the fact it exists. I may have read it once. When did it first come out?
I believe I have read the first Chronicles, but not the second.
Yeah. I think I read some of them at one point in my life, but it has been a hot minute. Google has informed me the first trilogy came out in 1977. The second trilogy came out in like 1980. The third trilogy, I guess it wasn't really. And then there was one in 2004, 2007, 2010, and 2013. So like it spread. It spread a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember Thomas Covenant is a man who has leprosy, and he's the unbeliever because he gets pulled into a different universe.
Okay. Give me just a second. Raven, are you on Messenger? I can send you the stream link.
Hi.
Oh, we're not Facebook friends? How did that happen? Okay, now I hopefully won't be stuck in your filter.
In your good filter.
Because if you're not friended with someone, it goes into a separate Messenger filter.
Yeah.
And you don't see them.
It gets set in a special little corner until you go look for it.
Yeah, so I feel really bad for the person who used my email address to book their hotel for Canberra, Australia next week, because I don't know if they're going to be able to get in. But I reached out to 3 different Thomases I'm not friended with, and none of them have replied. So, and how a Thomas has an email with my name is weird. So weird.
So someone named Thomas was sending an email coming from your email address.
No. That definitely.
They were sending an email to you as if you were the hotel they were trying to book at.
No. Somebody named Thomas used my email address to get their confirmation from booking.com and 3 other sites.
Huh. Have you ever used booking.com?
Booking.com, special request for my reservation. Booking.com, congrats for starting to explore the world for us. Customer service, request sent to the apartment in Canberra. No reply, your booking is confirmed at the apartment. And new message from the apartments welcoming me to their stay. So, anyway, Raven, you ready? Thumbs up? No thumbs. Thumbs?
These are not the thumbs you're looking for.
Okay, I think we're good. And we have a Raven. Hello. Do you have audio?
I am not hearing you.
Test.
Are you hearing us? Okay. That's half the battle, right? No.
What, 2 weeks ago, I had to forego my headset because it just wasn't working? Or had to use the headset because the other thing wasn't working? Unclear.
Yeah.
So, why? Why is my white balance so messed up?
Is this any better?
Yes. We can hear
now
you.
We hear you.
Okay.
Which is better than not hearing you at all.
Correct.
Okay.
All right.
Bring
awesome
the Thomas to us.
Okay. This was my sleep deprived depravity at work today while I was reminiscing about Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings and to some extent the Hobbit trilogies.
Sure.
And one of my sort of guilty pleasures or guilty appreciations is the Thomas Covenant series,
sure.
which a lot of people do not like, which is I fully understand because the main character is kind of a piece of shit.
I mean, these things happen.
Yeah.
in the very first novel, he trigger warning for anyone who may actually be out there. He does sexually assault a young woman as part of his character development
That's
in the very
horrible.
first novel.
Yeah, not cool.
And it is and it's like, but I love that world that Stephen R. Donaldson created.
Sure.
The land and the world that and the important thing for me to understand about and I admit I came into it weird because I came into the first trilogy in the middle book.
Okay.
So I didn't actually I did not catch catch the first part of his characterization firsthand. It was all
Sure.
secondhand in the second novel.
Okay.
It was like when I went back and read the first one, I was like, oh crap, this is where all this came from?
Yeah.
So but the biggest takeaway for me of that series is that Thomas Covenant isn't the hero.
Sure.
He's the protagonist. He is not the hero. The hero is all the people around him that help him in the magical world he ends up in.
Yep.
And there's just a litany of them, one after the other, who because they see him as a laudable reincarnation of this mythical figure in their history. And is like all of them are helping him, believing he's destined for something great because of what he represents, and he's just a very broken human being that has done horrible things that eventually throughout the course of the first book or the first trilogy, the first Chronicles, and then the second Chronicles becomes redeemed to some aspect. But that's not what I was messing around with. Then, although I did apparently need to get that off my chest.
Clearly. Yeah.
But
so it's a long redemption story. He starts off as an asshole and then becomes better.
After a fashion, yes. It's more. It's not even he becomes better necessarily. He reconciles himself with the horrible things he's done. The world the magical world that he's existing in throughout the course of the series has already accepted him. They literally don't care. I apologize for the way I'm looking. My camera's over here.
It's okay.
But again, this is like my focus was I want very badly someone to make a Lord of the Rings level, and which is incredibly unlikely since we saw what happened with The Hobbit. I was like, but I would love to see someone take that level of personal interest in recreating that story, but the key element that you would not be able to replicate in that structure is that one really unfortunately integral part of Thomas Covenant's journey.
I don't know. There's some pretty messed up stuff in Game of Thrones.
Oh, that's true, but it's like, but they don't. But in general, there isn't a whole lot of redemption arc for a guy who just out and out.
Nope. Yep. Let's stop mentioning it precisely. But I think in this, day and age, we don't necessarily put that forward as using someone else for your own personal growth, be it assault or murder.
And
it's lot less. They exist in order for your personal growth is called out, and rightly so.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of that is shock factor and a product of its time. And while I recognize that, it's shitty. It's shitty. And luckily we have that conversation now, and people, recognize that, using this as a shortcut for I'm a horrible person is maybe, yes, it's an event that happens, but that doesn't need you. Traumatizing other people is not necessary for your own character's growth. Yeah.
And I feel like it's almost like it's not a mirror image exactly, but it's like a dark mirror effect of the idea of when they put that in a woman's background to make her character growth is like in his case he was the perpetrator, and is like, and then
Yeah.
that affects his character growth. But what my interest was is I'm sitting here going, how would you fix that? It's like, how
Yeah.
would you take that out of the story? And then
Yeah.
and suddenly I got very frustrated with myself
Mhm.
because that's the whole point. That's a key element of being a writer.
Yeah.
Is like, if you can recognize an element of a story that really that either doesn't need to go there or in the change of the times does not belong there anymore. How do you it's like it's like you should be able to find a way to correct that path. Like, even if it's not your work.
I have beta read a story in which a similar event happens. I mean, the main character is not the perpetrator, but is perpetrated upon. And one of the things I like to do is just suggest going with assaults of a non-sexual nature. You know, why do we have to go there just because we're a bad person?
I will note that part of the reason this is so integral is because this actually results in the very next book him meeting his daughter.
Yeah.
Which
that
creates a pattern of activity for that affects the whole rest of the whole rest series. Of that first series.
Sure.
And it's like, and there's that's the one thing I was really struggling with is that there's repercussions from that act and the way he reacts to the world in general.
Sure.
Because he is part of his training as having Hansen's disease is that it was that you have to take everything very literally and very take your whole life as being a function of making sure you don't harm yourself. And when he's introduced to a world where his leprosy is effectively cured, and his brain is like, that's not something that can happen, and he mentally rebels against it, which part of that is what is a result of what he ends up doing. It's like he does not know how to respond, but it's like that's no excuse for what he did.
Right? No, definitely not at all.
But
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
There are thoughts there. I want to let them to get out.
yeah. I think in some instances, some stories are just not made for modern audiences.
This is not the time to retell those stories.
No, or at least not that story in the way that it was originally done. And that's what I was trying to work my brain around. Is like, how can you still tell how can you tell this man's kind of journey without including that element? Because he's already a self-hating person.
So sometimes I don't.
Because I think there should be a way to do it. I'm just not sure.
Character? I don't know. I'm tempted to say a different point of view character might be a better call, but I don't know the story well enough.
Because there are characters and elements of those of the first, at least the first two chronicles.
Yeah.
Because you got the first two chronicles, which are trilogies, and then you have the final chronicles, which is either 4 or 5 books. I forget how many. And I didn't make it all the way through that last set.
So maybe the first book is mostly shown through the occasional flashback where we don't get the full scene, but we do get the impact of it. And we focus more on the redemption path. I don't know, well, but it's not something you want to downplay. I mean, it's a horrible thing.
There are definitely things that you can do cinematically in order to show that an event happened without letting the viewer go through every horrible moment of it,
and without fetishizing it, which too often happens in
that's true.
I don't remember reading the section in question, but you bring up the point of this happened in the fantasy world.
Yes.
So he's in a state where he's disbelieving everything around him. He's
Correct.
saying that this can't be happening. And one way to frame it is to have him doing this because this is exactly something he would never do.
That's the way it's framed in the novel. Is that it's like there's two as like there's two justifications happening in the writing compared to what's happening in his brain, because he's having physical reactions that as a sufferer of Hansen's disease that he hasn't had in a decade. So his body's reacting in ways his body's reacting in ways that he's getting sensations he hasn't had because all of his nerves have been dead for a decade.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's also in the position where he is in a world that contradicts everything that he's been taught on how to survive as a person who has Hansen's disease.
And he's convinced that it's a sign of his own madness that he's disconnected from reality.
And he's trying to break that disconnection so that he thinks he's having a psychotic break. So he's convinced. So part of him is convinced that if he does something horrible, the break will snap, and the delusion will come to a stop.
Sure.
But as a result, he destroys the life of this one woman.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And ends up fathering a child who ends up being a special kind of issue on her own because there's a time what's the thing with the eyes? Dilation.
Oh.
There's a time dilation between the time that he's back in the real world and actually ends up returning to the. I wish he
time
thought
doesn't
of
run at the same speed in both worlds.
Correct. So when he goes back, his daughter's already grown.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And has developed. What's the opposite? What's the reverse version of an Oedipus complex?
Ophelia complex.
Like whatever that opposite is, she has that.
Okay.
Because she's never known her father, and all she knows is that everybody believed he was the reincarnate. No, she believed she was the reincarnate. Her mother idolized him.
Weird. Okay.
Because she was convinced that this reincarnation of this mythical character had impregnated her with a child.
Sure.
So she raised her daughter to believe her father was the best thing since the sun rising. And it helped develop that image is that he made the magical horses of the land go and visit her and give her free rides, because they were terrified of him. There's a very weird dynamic of what Covenant's character is in the world compared to how he acts. Is like there are always people going out of their way to help him, believing he's great, but the magical creatures of that world are terrified of him. It's a very what would I say, unconventional take on what fantasy looks like.
Sure.
Is like, but like I said, there are the heroes of the story are the Covenant is in no way a hero of the story, even though he's shoved into that role by the people of the land.
Sure.
The people around him are those heroes who are buoying him up and getting him in that position, and without them, he would have been dead the first day he stepped onto the land.
Sure.
And it's those people I would love to see in like a cinematic, or even like on the small screen, like the one of the streaming shows. I'd love to see. Yeah, I'd love to see somebody take that, because I'd love to see Foam Follower. I get choked up just saying his name. Saltheart Foam Follower is one of the most wholesome characters I've ever read in a series. And it's like his Donaldson's take on a giant is like if you mixed the Ents with dwarves and made them just made them huge humanoids.
Sure.
So they're long. They're very long spoken. They're very reserved people. They love children. They love telling stories, and they have one of the most fascinating ways of grieving I've ever heard.
Sounds
Whereas
a lot like the Ogier from the Wheel of Time.
kind of the giants of the Grieve, these are people, the giants had lost their home. It's like they got lost and ended up on the shores of the land. The people of the land made a home for them, and the giants are very, very stone related, which is why I made the dwarf association. And fire does not hurt them, or fire does not damage them, but they still feel the pain of being burned. So to grieve, they actually plunge their hands into fire to purge themselves of the pain inside their heart. And they call it the Camorra, I believe. It was Caamora. And it was just, there's a number of different characters throughout the course of the series, and then there's the part of the story structure is that the world is infused with life as a sort of magic.
Sure.
And there's a place called Andalane. Is Adelaine or Andalane?
So Raven.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Are we going in a direction, or is it time for us to go back to a sprint?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I love hearing your excitement about the story. I know how much it means to you, but
I did get rambling.
Is there a question in here?
The most okay, but
other than how to portray it, yeah.
Which I think we've kind of taken a shot at.
I think we took a shot at it. I was like, I'm not.
Sure.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not. I was like, it was. Let me put this to you real quick, and we'll cut off the process.
Sure.
Have you? Is like I know. Morgan, you said you had come into contact with something like this where you tried to make a suggestion of how to work around it or to remove it from a story.
Yeah. They did not take my advice. They said it was necessary. And I was like, that you're the author. I can't make you change it. I don't think it's the right call, but I can't make someone else write the story the way I think is best.
Yeah. No, I did. I thought I had a question, and mostly it comes down to is like you'd have to do. You would have to probably sit down and try to write it. Is what it would come down to.
Yeah.
It's like you'd have to try it and see what happened. As it's somebody else's IP, that's not really safe to do. But thank you for listening to me ramble.
Of course. Thank you for sharing with us. And I love hearing people, super excited about stories, no matter if it was something they read today or 20 years ago. So
yeah,
or reread 10 times in the interim.
Yeah, I think I went through that series like 4 times before I finally had to take a break and go away from it, because it is very depressing.
Yeah. Which is why I've sworn never to read Game of Thrones again until the latest book came out. I reread every single one coming up before the next one came out, and then after the last reread, I'm like, okay, it's gotten a lot longer, and it's really depressing, and I would like to hit Wikipedia and then move on with my life when the next book comes out. But that was 15 years ago. How long has it been since the last book came out?
Yeah,
it's been a long time.
Yeah.
It's been a hot minute.
Mm-hmm.
It's been such a long time.
Yep.
Oh God, I played that song a lot on Rock Band, so I'm just saying it's been a while since I played that song. So
it's been such a long.
Sorry, I have to look it up. I'm so curious now.
Uh-oh.
When did the last one come out?
Oh, the last Game of Thrones book?
2011. It's
Good
been 13
Lord.
years. I was close.
You were
disgustingly close. And I would like to link drop Write Like the Wind.
'Cause we'll ride like the wind.
Oh, honey, no,
Published
no.
again.
Okay, apparently, I'm gonna have to play this for you since you don't actually know what I'm talking about.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Are you not
Oh,
familiar?
this is the one telling George R. R. Martin to write like the wind. Okay.
Oh.
No.
I'm sorry. You're gonna have to suffer through 3.5 minutes. Oh no, exactly 3 minutes. 1 moment. Oh, unmute.
Yeah.
Sorry. YouTube is currently muted right now. I wonder why. Okay.
George R. R. Martin, please write and write faster. You're not going to get any younger, you know. Winter is coming, I'm growing impatient, and you've still got 2 whole damn books left to go. So write, George, write like the wind. I curse the day that my friend ever loaned me an old dog-eared paperback called Game of Thrones. How could I know that this seed would grow into an addiction that held me right down to my bones? Now 5 books later, I lurk with the masses, indignant, entitled, and waiting for word that the great bearded glacier has finally published 900 more pages of crack for the nerds. Why does every new verse of your song keep taking you so goddamn long? George R. R. Martin, please write and write faster. Please give us boiled leather and sigils and steel. We need our allotment of incest and intrigue and 6-page descriptions of every last meal. So write, George, write like the wind. Lewis took 5 years to chronicle Narnia. Tolkien had 12 years and Rowling took 10. Lucas spent nearly 3 decades on Star Wars, and we all know how that one turned out in the end. You're not our bitch and you're not a machine, and we don't mean to dictate how you spend your days, but please bear in mind, in the time that you've had, William Shakespeare churned out 35 friggin' plays, and if you keep writing so slow, you'll hold up the HBO show.
Not really.
Yeah, well, that happened.
That went by.
George R. R. Martin, please write and write faster, cause we won't stop whining until we're appeased. Crap out the chapters, and George, while you're at it, stop killing our favorite characters, please. And write, George, write like the wind. George R. R. Martin, please write and write faster. Like the war you are dead, George, please write like the wind.
Okay, I have to ask, how long ago was that written?
Oh, a hot minute. A hot
Before
minute.
season 7, obviously.
Yeah. Is that good?
11 years ago?
Oh my god.
Oh wait, no, sorry. Yes, no, 11 years ago. Also,
Oh
there is video footage of them playing it at Dragon Con, and George R. R. Martin, having previously discussed this with them, destroying their guitar after the song. But yeah, he needs to write. Like, this was written 10 years ago. This yeah. So it's yeah.
Are either of you also waiting on the next King Killer Chronicle novel from Patrick Rothfuss?
I would say I was, but I never read The Slow Regard for Things.
that isn't necessary for that. I mean, The Slow Regard for Things is a very eclectic novel, but it isn't necessary for the procession of the story.
I'm thinking of the right author, right? We're talking Name of the Wind.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, I get Rothfuss and Sanderson confused sometimes. I have issues.
I've never read any of Sanderson's work, so.
So I absolutely loved Name of the Wind, but they gave the main character every backstory.
Yeah.
He had all the backstory.
Gypsy, orphan, street thief, genius who like is top of the magic school, bard, like every backstory. Is there secretly a whatever, heir to the whatever? I don't even know. Every backstory imaginable. Like, pick two.
Save some backstory for the rest of everyone else.
Now everybody else is just a spin-off of your backstory.
Did you read the second one?
Oh, if so, it's been a hot minute.
I wish the Wise Men's Fear. The Wise Men's Fear.
I think so. I know I own it, but I might have been waiting for the next one to come out.
Yeah, it's like he's another one who's been he's been off doing a bunch of other things and is like just never gotten back to finishing his novel.
Could be
I
on
guess
that bookcase behind you with the rest of your to read pile.
Potentially. So I actually was on a panel went to a panel of his.
Okay.
And he was struggling with genocide.
Oh.
Like the results of doing horrific things in world and how that translates to traumatizing the readers. And what his responsibility as a responsible, person, who's raising a child, what his responsibility to the reader is.
That's
so
understandable.
He got into a really weird moral quandary place. So let me see if I can find that blog post. It was a hot minute ago, obviously.
Pardon me.
Done to Death, the Art of Killing Characters. Let me just shamelessly link drop.
Dang it, excuse me.
Don't be a little link drop, right?
Right? Okay, so it's from 2019. And,
So I find it, I'm sorry, I find it somewhat ironic that I was looking at my Facebook past posts from on this day years past, and there was one where the word had come to my brain of traumaste, which is the trauma in me recognizes the trauma in you. And here we are talking about trauma.
Yeah. So I'm looking at my post, and Patrick shared a story about having written or voiced, I don't know, something about the Frog Princess, and 70 kids were hospitalized from salmonella because they licked frogs. And he's really started struggling with the consequences of what he writes. And then he was asked by Veronica Roth, so how do you even write? And he says, I'm the wrong person to ask, because at that point it was 8 years since book 3 had come out. So he's really been struggling, and I don't know where he is right now. Obviously this was like 4 or 5 years ago. So it was a really interesting discussion to watch different authors talk about the repercussions of writing about people dying in their stories. And out death like it's nothing. I mean, I've openly talked about the fact, I've really enjoyed reading a story, an author who I can easily call, Dexter crossed with Charlie's Angels plus trauma. But that's a very different sort of vibe. And, when you go into the story knowing what you're going to read, and it makes me think about censorship, how in the US, especially, violence is whatever, but intimate encounters are like a no-go, where I think most of us, both ourselves and if we're parents, for our children, we would like them to at some point be intimate, but we do not want them at any point to kill someone. Or at least I would say that's true for 95%. There are plenty of wrong people out there, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Or we want them to make good decisions about their intimate encounters, yet at the same time not giving them any information that they need to make those good decisions because of fear that they'll be so excited about the information to go out and do something.
And examples of handling intimacy responsibly versus, when it becomes toxic or unhealthy, ways to move on or to shift the dynamic into something healthier and to support partners rather than, I would never victim blame, but, sometimes people are not healthy and they bring out the worst in each other. And, sometimes there are steps that if, you are in a healthier place, you can help your partner reach as well.
Mm-hmm.
Or partners. I'm not judging.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're going to do a sprint like an hour ago.
Well, we started.
I derailed the whole thing.
Ago. We were going to do a sprint a while ago.
Right? Sako!
It's Sako!
Before we could have a sprint.
I'm okay. Everything's
okay.
We're glad to see that you're okay.
Oh, and Emery swung by. Hi, Emery. So, did you want to introduce yourself? Oh, yeah, and Raven never introduced himself. Just popped in and started talking about Thomas Covenant.
Hi, Raven.
Hello.
Sako!
Yay!
Oh, was I supposed to, or are we waiting for Sako to do it?
Sako, introduce yourself, and then Raven, and then we'll go to Sprint.
Howdy, neighbors. I'm Sako, also known as Cass Voit, and you can find me on the Googles, and you'll find my social media, my website, my various interviews I've done, stuff like that. So check me out. You can Google me.
Raven?
I'm Raven Stromdance, last of the Red Hot Swamis, bearer of the Sword of Twilight. Not that one. And you can mostly find me in the chat here. As it stands right now.
Awesome. Okay, so thank you, everyone. Let's go ahead and do a sprint. Let's see, how does this work? Raven, I'm going to kick you out, and then we're going to go.
Okay.
Catch you in the sprint.
Because their setup is maximized for 3 people.
It really is. And Sako is a little echoey.
Yeah, there is an echo cancellation setting that I don't think you've got on.
I got echo. Hold on.
Not when you talk, just when we talk.
Yeah, settings, audio, echo cancellation. Of course, if we start the sprint, we'll be on mute, so it won't matter.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, stretch. Beyond.
Wah.
Did you take a nap, Soccer?
Yes, I did.
Was it glorious?
It is.
Was it everything you wanted in a nap?
Yes.
Did you take 2 because they're small?
Did I take my what?
Did you take 2 naps because they're small? Never mind.
Yes. Yes, I did.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get started in 3, 2, 1, right. And we're back. I wrote words. I wrote words. I mean, it's mostly
Yay.
Fridays, but yeah. So smoothing out what I'd done on Friday night, and I'm not sad.
Nice.
So I'm at 2,800 words.
For total.
Total. Yeah.
That is a good day.
I was rereading and tweaking stuff I wrote on Friday, and so next sprint we'll see how many new words I get. Ooh.
Ooh.
We have a vampire and a werewolf just met for the first time,
Oh, cool.
and I'm eschewing most standard vampire werewolf thing in that traditionally alpha werewolves, blah blah blah. No, it's family groups led by the mama.
Yeah.
So all my alphas are girls,
Cool.
or mostly, not all.
I'm
And
amused.
traditionally, vampires have had wolves as like their sidekicks, right? So in this, we're gonna have vampires with werewolf mates, and their pack protects the whole thing, and it works like that.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. So we had a vampire show up and say, "Hey, I heard y'all were an unallied clan or pack. Are you looking for a vampire?" And they're like, "F no." And she's like, "Okay, let's get you out of here before things get bloody, because we don't want to get fined for killing a werewolf or a vampire." And then she's like, my pack is a bunch of bullshit. I might be interested in an alliance on my own. So, and I think packs are going to be open to adopting, taking in people who, want to leave their own packs. So it's not just the babies of the mama.
Yeah.
Hi.
So, anyway, that's my dynamic. So
That sounds exciting. I'm
excited. I'll see what goes with it. So, anyway,
Cool.
What are you up to today?
I am wrapping up my sacred rest and reset personal retreat thing. And so I'm filling out the closing letters and checklists and review and reflect, which is a bunch of stuff. So I have more to fill out before the day is over.
Hi.
Sure,
Cat
that
cam.
makes sense. I gave Catticus his gushy food because I'm not a monster.
Yes.
Oh, I should give my cat his squishy food.
I mean, obviously. So, Doc,
But
how
he's
was your spread?
sleeping. But he's.
Oh, yeah, you can't wake a sleeping kitty. You're not a monster.
I'm not a monster.
I've been going back and forth. I opened my snacks. I've been snacking on some jelly beans as well as the bold Chex Mix because it's Easter.
I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous.
That I have jelly beans or that I have a cat?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
well, it's called ordering them for the grocery store.
I could.
Yeah.
Basically, I put things on my.
On your list,
Yeah.
and then you never order the list or go to the grocery store.
I never go to the grocery store. It's only so my husband has to make a call as to whether to pick it up or not.
So you can blame him for not having it. No.
Did you know tomorrow is like what, half price jelly bean day? You need to get on that, right? Today's Easter.
Yep.
So the candy should be on sale tomorrow.
It should be.
Or taken off the shelves by now.
Although the Cadbury eggs have been off the shelves for a while now. But
yeah, I know. I was fed these. So I went to Jenna's and I was surrounded by other tubers, and like the it was bananas. And I was fed these eggs that were like dark chocolate and filled with caramel and then salted. And they were like store brand or whatever. And I was here for it. I'm very happy.
Yeah. But so in addition to unlocking my snacks, I did get some editing, and also started working on the grocery list because, yeah, this weekend has not been conducive to getting that done early. And to be honest, I'm half tempted to order the groceries tomorrow, except it means I've got to figure out lunch for work. But
I got you.
I made some decent progress in my editing, but I've hit a section where the editor is asking questions about uh, 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 the religion in India, and thinking, okay, great, I need to go look at my notes again and figure out if I need to spell things out more obviously. Um, I don't know. And then was when the timer ran out. So,
Ah.
and the cat came up and climbed my
Yes, yes. And now is now.
chest. That brings us to now.
That brings us to now.
Hello.
We can do a sprint.
Or we can go to the comments and see how everyone else did.
Oh, and RC made a arrival appearance.
Oh,
that
RC's
thing when
here for
people for 2 minutes. I was just noting that he dropped in, and I'm grateful.
Yay. So, Mama Maggie popped in. The internet's mostly been down, but is lurking and liking.
Poor
Diana's
Maggie.
here. Yay! Raven pulled up his prequel story to the manuscript that Sako is currently beta reading for him, but his brain is too fried because he worked a 16-hour day and succumbed to the lure of Baldur's Gate 3. Mama Maggie's happy I'm writing again. Yay! Raven should actually go to bed,
Yes.
but between the excitement of being on and derailing into book talk, which is thematically appropriate, and long work shift, super spent, I get that. Everybody cheered for kitties.
Yeah.
RC says happy zombie Jesus Day. And RC cameo calls himself a special guest star.
Special guest star.
So obviously, Jesus was not a zombie; he was a lich. But
That's neither here nor there. Yeah.
yeah,
I was totally a Dark Ages Melkavian with true faith in Vampire Jesus, because
Yeah.
vampires sometimes take 3 days to rise, depending on the lore and the
Yes.
clan. So,
Okay.
yeah. Raven is going to bed like he should and getting sleep and probably dreaming about Thomas.
Mm.
So, yeah, that was a sprint. It
His
was
name
big.
is Brian.
His name was Brian. Wait, whose name was Brian? The guest
he
star?
was the Son of God, and his name was Brian.
Oh, right, yes. Sorry. Flashbacks.
The other Nazarene. No.
Right.
Lol. Witty.
Life of Brian is a Monty Python movie, full out, not just a sketch. So if you want to know about Jesus' brother, check it out.
Well, less Jesus's brother and more the guy
Rival?
in the next stable.
Sure.
Hi, Catticus. Bye,
Catticus says
Catticus.
hi. And he twitched his tail at me. So,
Snacks. I was surrounded by snacks this weekend and I didn't touch them.
Oh, go you. I did the opposite.
Jenna has like a wonderland for an office.
Oh, nice.
And like we all fit comfortably with our laptops and everything in her office because it's so big.
Cool.
And like it was me and Kay and JD, yeah,
Estrada?
Robinson.
Oh, okay.
Robinson? Yeah.
Sure.
So
Right in.
we bombarded Jenna's house and we had delicious Japanese food for cheap. And like it was wonderful. It was wonderful.
Cool.
And I
I'm
took
so
pictures.
happy. That sounds amazing. I'm super
It was
excited.
amazing.
I want to see those pictures.
Okay.
Great.
Okay. How about that?
So it's 6:10. So we've got time for another sprint,
We do.
Or-
It's true.
or we can talk.
I want to do a sprint, but maybe a short sprint since we only have maybe
20
15-minute
minutes?
sprint. What do you
You want
think?
to crank it down
Yeah.
to 50?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's
Let's
do a
do
15-minute sprint. In
Okay.
3, 2, 1, boom. Okay, let's go.
Boom shakalaka.
418 words and we're about to kiss. It's very exciting. I'm excited. You don't have to be, I guess.
I'm here.
I
Yay!
was a little surprised. I didn't hear a timer go off.
Oh,
First time either. Yeah.
weird.
didn't.
Okay. I
Didn't go
will check into that. Sorry. I should have said timer is done. I heard it, so you know.
But
Wah.
So our vampire just said, "May I taste?" And they held hands and they stepped in and she blushed and nodded.
oh my.
And he's
Oh
actually
my.
asking for a kiss first.
Very
But we
adorable.
haven't quite clarified.
Diane is rewriting the ending of her book.
Ooh, endings are so hard. Oh my gosh.
I write 3, and then I pick the weirdest one.
The weirdest one. Okay.
Uh-huh. Violent and weird.
Right.
Uh,
When we're talking endings, or we're talking about the climax of the denouement.
I'm talking about the climax mostly.
Okay. I don't know. Then again, it may be the fact that I write adventure, so the climax is usually fairly straightforward. This is when you deal with the big bad, whoever it is in this book, and you try to wrap up all of your major threads as quick as possible, so the hits just keep on coming.
Wow.
yeah. Oh my goodness.
But-
Well, I mean, you write a romp. It's
Yes.
It starts and don't stop.
like I said, it may be a function of what I'm writing that I usually don't have that much trouble with endings. Although I do know that in this book, I majorly screwed up the logistics of my climactic scene, so I've got to do some massive reworking of it. But
Sure.
Yeah, I don't think I did not get very far. I ended up spending quite a lot of that sprint re-researching Hindu practices, but
I mean,
Yeah.
that's what happens when you set a story in
yeah,
India.
in a different culture, you have to keep checking it, and people keep accusing you of having done no research at all when they find one little thing that doesn't perfectly agree with what you've said.
And also, it's a fantasy world,
Yeah.
so I get that. Let me pop into the comments. Diane says this is the first serious fiction book she's written, so yay!
Okay.
Ooh, and it's also romance.
Also a romance.
Yay!
That is so cool.
Yup.
So it's serious fiction, not comedic fiction.
I know a great editor if you are looking for an editor, Diane. Just saying. I know a lady
Yay!
who does it for cheap.
And this is when I say make sure they edit your genre and they're a good fit for you.
Yes, they are a good fit for
Yeah, it's a good idea to have several potential editors that you think might work.
wow.
And send them like a sample chapter or two.
Yes, I
And see what
that.
kind of feedback they give you, and then figure out,
And be
Where you-
aware of their schedules and how
Yes.
big their backlog is.
Well,
Yes,
when you
indeed.
talk to them about if they're open to getting to doing a sample chapter or
Sure.
introductory of your book,
Mhm.
you should also get from them, if they've got space in their schedules, because
Sure.
the really good ones are already booked up.
Oh yeah. So, I'm contemplating the fact that maybe my floor lamp is down one light bulb or something because it's just so dim in here and it's not usually
Yeah.
this dim. So
Does it seem? I'm sorry, I'm trying to find out.
bless you.
Gesundheit.
Does it seem dim to you being in the room, or does it just seem dark when you look at the screen and see how the camera's interpreting?
White palette.
Yeah.
Bam.
And I can't blame the Christmas tree behind me.
No, you cannot.
Yeah.
So, Diane says she was writing nonfiction, and bless
Thank you.
So, but it is 6:30, and that means time for us to go away. Although I could do another sprint because I've got to finish this piece tonight. But I can do it offline.
Oh, shrug. Okay.
Do people want to do another sprint?
Yeah, we can do another sprint.
I might drop out during the sprint, though.
Okay. You want to tell people who you are and where you're going?
I'm Sako
Or wait,
Tumi.
where they can find you. That one.
I'm Sako Tumi, also known as Voit, and you can find me on Google. I mean, you'll find my website, you'll find my social media, you'll find all the things, interviews I've done, etc. Like, get to know me. You'll like me. I promise.
The likelihood is high. Something.
Although the theme song needs some work. But,
That's so funny.
Okay, then I'm gonna do a 25-minute and see if I can finish this short piece. So, okay, whoop, there we go.
yes, you want.
Okay, let's get started in a 3, 2, 1, boom. And if Sako comes back, Sako comes back. Chakalaka.
Okay. that time I heard the music.
Yeah, I took it away about 2 minutes ago and made sure it was tagged properly to share the music. So, okay. We have makeout session, blood tasting, and shoving people against walls for more makeout.
Okay. Wasn't sure what you were talking about, and then I realized, oh, right, that's your story. Okay.
So, hey, he just said me to kiss you. So, unless the answer was no, this is probably where the scene was going to go.
True.
So, somebody is about to suggest a flat surface.
Oh, my.
Potentially a couch, perhaps the loft bed. I'm not really sure. They're feeling like a ladder right now, though. So
there's always the ceiling. It's a flat surface. It's horizontal.
But gravity is going to fight them, and that's like why the wall is a bad idea, because gravity. Although you can make an argument is to be made that alpha werewolves and vampires have enough strength that they can ignore gravity when they want. But
yeah. And some just have those kind of powers. So
right. So, but I don't think we're going there. So how was your sprint? Oh, and I am at, let me check, 300 or 3,707 words.
Okay.
So
I spent most of my sprint doing more catch-up research. Trying to make sure I've got things well and truly right in my head before going back and reworking the text. But
sure.
Made some progress, but not quite done.
Sako?
Sako, can you hear us?
I don't think they can. So I'm going to pop into comments. Could you message them? So let's see. RC cheered for Diane's nonfiction.
Yep.
Ashling says, hi there. Hope we're doing well. Might try to finish a paper, but maybe just veg out. You know us. No judgment. You know, we veg out all the time. This is probably the least veggie stream I have done this year. And yes, I heard what I said. Least veggie. Ha ha ha. Okay.
So only protein snacks, right?
Only protein snacks. So, oh, nice. Emery got 489 words and got a bit of the outlining done for the climax of the chapter. Very
Nicely done.
Very nice. So, but I think that's all we have for tonight. Yep. I've got maybe a little bit more to do on this piece. But I think I need to figure out what's happening.
Yeah. I think Sako's in the groove.
Sako's in the groove, and beware the groove. You don't mess up a groove.
Yeah. Bless you.
Tell people who you are, where they can find you, and all that peace out yo stuff.
I am Doc Coleman. I write steampunk comedy adventure. If you are interested in me and learning more about my writing, you can go to your favorite search engine and search on Doc Coleman Steampunk. And that will take you to my website at doccoleman.com. It will also take you to my Amazon author page where you can look at samples of my work and see if it's something that might be entertaining for you. It may also lead you to Twitch or YouTube, where you can see the stuff that I'm streaming, including this stream. Because I might as well build up a body of content. But sure. You'll see this stream. You'll also see some gaming streams that I do on Friday nights. Currently playing No Man's Sky, but we'll see.
Nice. So, and I'm your host, Morgan Hazelwood. Hey, Kay. Thanks for coming by. We usually go from 4:30 to 6:30 on Sunday evenings, Eastern time. But we stayed a little late because people were in the groove. Thank you for coming by, though. And you can always watch us in reruns.
Oh.
So Emery got 489 and a bit of outlining. Wait, didn't you get like 400 last sprint, too?
No, you just did that one.
Oh, okay. I'm repeating myself. So thank you all for coming. It was great to have you. Sako, did you have any last words for the people?
Google me?
Sure.
Yeah, we noticed that you were in the groove from the sprint and hadn't
Yeah,
put the brakes on yet. So,
yeah, I was
Sure.
journaling.
Yep.
oh,
So,
Diane has news.
Oh, yay! Diane is done with the draft. Yay! Diane was working on finishing the ending, so super excited, super proud. Celebrate! Oh my gosh,
Oh yeah, I can do that too.
I can't.
Oh, come on.
That's only seeing one of them.
Oh, because the TV behind it, unclear. I get nothing. Sorry. So Emery shares our excitement. Anyway, I blog, and podcast, writing tips from the pros, and my own Writerly Musings, YouTube, and my blog are currently in reruns. And this week over on the podcast, Writing Tips and Writerly Musings, is going to be drafting a manuscript using voice to text. And last week was the 5 components of a query letter. So if
Those sound great.
yeah, so if either of those things are your jam, go check them out. If not, keep doing what you're doing. And no pressure,
No pressure.
eat snacks.
Yes.
So have a great week, and we'll be back again next week. So catch you later. Bye.